Hello, everyone, and welcome to Really Old Movies. I'm your host, Harrison Scullin, and today I got two special guests with me, my brother Hunter and cousin Carter. We'll be discussing Comic Con 2023, kind of our experiences there. So, why don't you introduce yourself first, Hunter?
Yep, I'm Hunter Scullin. I'm Harrison's brother. You can find me on Letterboxd at It's a Good Movie. Find me on Instagram at HuntsArtOK. And I'm here to have a good time and play some show and tell.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Hi,
You
my
too,
name's
Carter.
Yeah, my name's Carter. I am also on Letterboxd. My username is Cartography. Excited
Yeah.
to be here.
Heck yeah. And I'll have links to all of their stuff in the description below. And so let's go ahead and just kind of do some, some like introductory stuff. What were your guys' initial impressions with Comic-Con? You know, been before and all that sort of thing.
I can go
Let's
first.
go. All right.
Yeah. So I've only been one other time, and that was in 2016, which I would say was kind of at like the hype or the height of like the superhero interest. I was really into superhero movies back then. Everyone kind of was. Nowadays, it's kind of more popular to talk about like superhero fatigue, and there are just so many that come out. We just had
Yeah.
Flash come out. That was kind of a dud. So
Yeah.
it was kind of refreshing not to have all the actors there in the big panels, because I just didn't feel like the superheroes were the main focus for me this time around. It was way more crowded than last time, and I was definitely looking for different things than I was last time too.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Up to you, Hunter.
We've grown up going our whole lives, working our dad's booth. So I've been able to see a lot of different conventions, but I feel like this one in particular was like the most interesting one I've been to, the most excited I've been to be at Comic-Con. I think maybe, I don't know, when I was little, I'd buy like stickers and look at a couple cool posters or whatever and move on with my life. But this time I had kind of specific goals. People I wanted to meet and things I wanted to see. And kind of like what Carter was saying too, I wasn't so distracted by the big spectacle of all like the movie booths and panels and things, and could really go and meet artists. And so in that sense, it was like super positive. I loved it this time.
Yeah. No, I'd have to agree. I mean, the last time I remember it being kind of like this, where it was more comic and vendor focus, was probably 2008 when Iron Man came out, because they were still kind of promoting it then. I don't know if it had released yet or it just came out, because around then it was still mostly comics. So I thought that was really cool, because they didn't have all that Hall H stuff that was all buying and shopping focused, which I think was great for our dad. I think it was his best year ever. So yeah, it was really, really cool to see all of that.
Yeah, I enjoyed the people watching too. I definitely I've been studying psychology the last few years, so just seeing the kind of people that show up and the way they interact is always interesting for me too.
Saw a lot more furries this time than I've ever seen.
Yikes,
before.
that was the first go-to. Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
I was just noticing you guys have got a cool like comic display in the background there. So
Yeah.
looks good. Actually, I'm gonna put my poster up too, just so it's not just my boring apartment. Oh man,
There you go.
is it gonna stay? Probably not. Here, see if I can.
Yeah, let's go ahead and then talk about our experiences. And we'll start off with talking about panels. So who would like to go first and talk about some panels they went to?
I can go first.
All right.
Did you all make it to any on Thursday, by the way, before I got there?
Yeah, I went to a couple.
I think I went to one as well. Yeah, they had them every day except Wednesday, I think.
Gotcha.
I want to say.
A few must have not been that great, because I don't really remember what they were.
Yeah.
But and we did go to a couple duds on accident. So
yeah, well, we could talk about those.
Let's talk about them. Maybe mention the ones you wanted to first, though, and then we can get to those.
Sure.
Get to the duds.
So I mostly went to story writing and art panels, like on my own. That's just something I've been interested in for a little while. So I went to a figure drawing panel with Ron Lemming. I went to a drawing a portfolio panel with Peter Hahn, who's one of my favorites. And I went to a couple panels with a fantasy writer named Maxwell Alexander Drake. His big thing is he writes epic fantasy, but he also writes a lot of books on story structure and character development, things like that. So, and his were specifically about story structure and theme. So those are pretty, for me, super informative and super interesting.
Yeah, I went to one of those too. He's a really cool guy.
Yeah, his analogies are super awesome, and it really helps you kind of have a more analytical look on story structure and stories we know. So he referred to The Matrix a lot, or Finding Nemo,
Oh, cool.
things like that.
Yeah, Finding Nemo. Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, and he also complained a little bit about modern Hollywood writing and characters. But
Well, you can't blame him though, right?
no,
It's a bunch of garbage out there.
but the only oopsie I had on my own that I remember is I went to a character design one. It was like character design 101, and I was pretty interested in that. And when I didn't read the description, so when I showed up, it turned out to be like makeup design for like theatrical productions.
Oh wow.
Okay.
So it was like this makeup artist, and she was showing kind of the stuff she's done. But I was like, this isn't what I want, so I left.
Yeah, you
And,
didn't feel like getting in touch with your feminine side, practicing a bit.
Well, I could get in touch with my feminine side, but
Not in that way.
no, I don't want to. I don't care about that. I was like, all right, you guys have fun.
Okay, fair enough.
I came in at the end. They put up some pictures of the stuff she's done. She's a pretty talented lady, but
Nice.
not my cup of tea.
Yeah. Well, cool. How about you go next, Carter?
That might actually be a good transition to talk about the panel, the first one we went to all together. This was
the
on
Weta one?
Yeah. So we got in line probably too late, honestly, because we were like out the door, down the steps, looking at the bay.
Yeah.
But they started letting people in. So unfortunately, we missed probably the first 15 minutes of the panel just because for whatever reason, they're just really slow letting people into the room and navigating between different lines. So by the time we got in, we'd missed the first 15 minutes, and I kid you not, there was one seat next to us that was empty. So we were among the last four that made it into that one. But I thought it was super interesting. I personally am a big Lord of the Rings fan, so that was probably one of the panels I was most looking forward to. And it was the Weta Studios are the studio that did the makeup and prop design costuming for the Lord of the Rings, and they are based out of New Zealand, right? They just kind of had like a PowerPoint going in the background with just behind the scene photos. And of course you can watch the production videos that come on the disc with the Lord of the Rings, but I feel like, I think you made this comment that those kind of photos you just wouldn't see otherwise because it's just somebody's personal photos they took. Kind of talking about
Polaroids.
Right. Talking about some cool production stories and just interactions with the actors and different pranks they played on each other. I thought it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What did y'all think of that panel?
That was probably one of my favorite ones, honestly, because the guy who was kind of emceeing it, he did like 5 or 6 characters throughout all the Lord of the Rings movies and even the Rings of Power TV show. So it was cool hearing from someone who actually was wearing the costumes and was in the thick of it. So yeah, I love that. It was awesome.
I thought it was great. I was pretty exhausted though, so I definitely sitting in the dark hall just kind of nodded off for like.
Oh, you missed that one.
But no, I saw enough to be satisfied with the amount of time we were in the sun in line and what we saw. I was like, yeah, it pays off. So then I let myself kind of doze.
I love the story where the one guy just talked about, I'm pretty sure he's the actor who played the main Uruk-hai. Lurtz is his name, I believe. He's the one that shoots Boromir, but he talked about throwing a knife at what's his name?
Viggo
Mortensen.
Yeah, Viggo. And Viggo blocks the sword, and I just assumed it was an editing thing, but no, he straight up blocked that knife with the sword.
Yeah. So. Right, because the actor couldn't see with his contact lenses in. And he was like supposed to turn away and throw it, and then they would cut and edit it and whatever. But yeah, he didn't turn when he got dizzy and just threw it straight at him.
Yeah, that was awesome. So that panel was really fun. It was fun to go to one with y'all. I also went to a Demon Slayer panel. I'm a big Demon Slayer fan. And they had the voice actors for the English cast there. They kind of had them. They played some clips from the most recent season that they reacted to. So that's what this poster's from. Well, afterwards there was a signing I went to. That's where I got that. But also this little placard they gave us. It was kind of funny. They said, everyone who's here today gets this little card because one of the videos they played was of the artist designing the full poster version of this. It was kind of cool to watch him shade it
cool.
in. So first, hand drawing all the lines, and then use a computer for the coloring. But the funny thing is, they gave us these tickets, and they said, "Yeah, go turn them in to get your little card to say that you were there." And first, they didn't tell us where, so we had to figure out where. It was all the way in the Hyatt, so I had marched way down to the Hyatt, got my little card, marched all the way back, hopped in line to meet the actors, and it was just. I probably spent 3.5 hours on Saturday just at the Demon Slayer panels.
Yeah, we were a little like, where did Carter go?
He disappeared.
Yeah, no, I was doing this, which was so worth it. I was really excited for that. We also went to a panel, Harrison and I, that morning. Do you want to talk about that one?
Oh, was it? Which one was that?
The superpower one.
The superpower one.
Oh yeah. Oh, so I was thinking, and we were both kind of thinking, maybe it was going to be like the audience, kind of challenging someone on the stage. It's like, oh no, the best power is this, and it'd be kind of like a
so the
back and forth
panel's
dialogue.
topic was, what is the best superpower? Which at Comic-Con, that's just a fight waiting to happen.
Yeah, and so we get there, and it's a bunch of comic book artists. Okay, cool. They're probably the biggest experts, right? And then it's just this MC chick who just asking them, so what do you think is the best power? They kept saying all these dumb ones like love and friendship, and I was like, what is this crap?
Throwing a piece of paper and making it in the trash can.
Yeah, I was like, no, this should be a debate about like how who would win, Thor or Captain America, or I thought it was gonna be something like that, and it was not that at all.
Well, and what I was hoping for was, because I'm not super into the comics, I read a few growing up, but I really just don't know a whole lot. So I just wanted to see super big fans up there saying Superman from the 1960s versus Superman from the 1990s, or Iron Man 2008 versus Iron Man 1970, and just hashing it out about the best iterations of the characters. And they totally could have pulled that off. That's just not what it was.
No, so it was pretty disappointing. So we left.
Yep. We gave it the good 20-minute treatment and then bounced.
Yeah, that happened a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, some hits and some misses, but that's a dud. Were there any that you really liked, Harrison, that you went to?
Well, I think I really loved that Weta one. That one was probably the best out of all of them. But one that I also liked, we went to one called You're Wrong, Leonard Maltin.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And so Leonard Maltin is a famous film critic. And so what people would do is they just line up to the microphone and they'd challenge him on ratings he's given movies in the past. And then he would either change his opinion or he would, stand by his rating. So I think he gave, it was Blade Runner, a 2.5 stars, a Taxi Driver, a 2 stars. So people are like, you're wrong, Leonard Maltin, this and that. This is why. And he'd respond with, no, I stand behind that, or, oh, I'll have to watch it again. Or it was just funny that he's willing to do that. This is my second time doing that, but it was hilarious just seeing the audience interact with it. I really loved it.
Is there a particular review of his or opinion of his that you would challenge given the chance?
So I haven't read a lot of his reviews, but I do have one of his books, the Turner Classic Old Movies from Silent Era to 1965. So I want to look through one of those and see if one of my favorites is in there that he didn't like. But if I do, I definitely want to go up next year and challenge him on it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Does he do it every year then?
He does it every year, yeah.
Okay, I got to.
Last year it was a pretty smaller group, but this year it was a packed room. So
the room was full.
It was awesome.
Oh, it's fun. That's the kind of stuff you want to have in the panels, Just everyone's involved, everyone's getting fiery.
Yeah, exactly.
The kind of discussions that you can't have anywhere else. That's what you want to have at Comic-Con.
Yep. It's usually trivial, silly stuff, but it's still awesome. Still a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, any more that you went to, Carter? I think that was pretty much it, right?
We went to a Philip K. Dick panel for a little bit.
Yeah.
It was all right.
Yeah, we left earlier than you
Right.
did.
It had some interesting moments. Just I have some more respect for the author, but
Yeah.
I definitely want to get around to reading his works. So
Yeah. No, it was
Yeah.
just too bad the disorganization of it. It could have been a lot better than it
Right.
was.
Yep. No, that's probably it as far as panels go.
Okay. I have a couple more I liked too. I went to a Jerry Beck one. He's an animation historian, and it was just kind of a spotlight of his career starting out with Leonard Maltin. They made an animated history book together. Then he went to Nickelodeon and then Warner Brothers and Disney. So he kind of just talked about his whole career moving back and forth and at different studios. And the cool part, I'm not a huge fan of anime or really watch any of it, but he talked about how he, with his company, I can't remember the name of it, but he and his friends were able to bring over Akira to the US
Oh, cool.
because at that point, US, no one really cared to distribute these Japanese movies, but he helped bring it over because he thought it was an excellent movie and helped get English voice dubs and all of that. And just through him and in this company, they've been able to bring all these anime films over. So I thought that was really interesting, just kind of how the market has changed since then.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
something you were saying, just an interesting observation, is how much we kind of owe to people like him.
Yeah.
How we're all at Comic-Con, these thousands of people enjoying all these IPs that we love, and how we wouldn't have any of them without someone like him believing in those projects and trying to bring them over. And so,
Yeah. And the fact that him and Leonard Maltin were just walking down the panel, no one was, not the panel, but the
aisles.
aisles, and no one was stopping and talking with them. And so it's kind of sad, but I'm glad I did walk up to Leonard Maltin's like, hey man, love all your stuff.
Really?
And then Jerry Beck afterwards only had one person walk up and talk to him. So I waited for a little bit, then I talked with him for a little bit. So it's crazy how many guys there are like that we owe so much of our culture to that no one even knows who they are.
Right. Is there a section where we talk about like celebrity cameos or semi-celebrity cameos?
Yeah, that'll kind of be in the next section here. We can move on to that.
Yeah, that might be a
Kinda
good
done panels.
transition.
Yeah. Let's move on to booths/people we met. Kind of
Okay.
chat about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's always. I mean, I don't know people's faces, but it was really cool to have you guys point to someone and say, he did this or that person did this, or for example, like the creator of Phineas and Ferb walked past.
Yeah. I wish I stopped to talk to him. That would have been awesome.
Right.
But yeah, he's just walking by. No one was talking to him.
Or like your dad's friend, Phil, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Phil, yeah.
Yeah.
Who was one of the like founders for Comic-Con and just kind of has his little booth in the corner doing like cardboard drawings. It's just got mad hippie energy, but
he's cool too.
He's a cool guy. I love talking to him.
Kind of like the what was it, Jerry Beck?
Jerry Beck, yeah.
He helped bring the artist Mobius, who's like this famous French artist.
I think he's French.
Yeah, I think he's French. And designer. He helped bring his work to America. So like someone like Phil Ye, you wouldn't really assume anything about him or his booth or whatever, but he's had a huge hand in comics and in Comic-Con specifically. And so yeah, it's fun to meet those guys. And we talked to him he's a family friend too, so we've known him since we were little. Yeah. But he always comes out with the craziest stories, and we stand at his booth for an hour just
listening to him.
Yeah, more listening than talking, but
right. No, he'll go on and on, but his stories are cool, so they're worth listening to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, was there anybody you guys wanted to mention that we met for a little bit?
Yeah, Carter, do you want anyone you thought of, or?
Well, I did see some art that had been displayed in my college's library. I used to study across from it.
Yeah, that's right.
It was kind of a crazy coincidence. We were just walking down the aisles one morning before the crowds got there. Mm-hmm. And I just saw like one of these art pieces staring back at me. And I was like, oh my goodness, I used to sit across from that for like hours studying for tests and working on essays. So I went back and I talked to the artist later. And sure enough, he'd graduated from my school back in 2008. So that was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, I almost stole his menu.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a new thing they're doing now is you go to like an art booth and rather than just, I don't know, flipping through whatever else they had in the past. They kind of have these like plastic menus you can look at, and just to order their art, I guess, is the idea. And I guess Harrison didn't realize that's what it was at first. So we were probably
So
like,
just handed it to me. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, cool.
yeah, we were probably like 3 booths away, and he's like, "This is kind of cool." I was like, "Wait, you can't have that."
Oh,
Like,
I've never seen it
Makes
before.
more
I just thought it was a highlight of his art. I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh,
cool.
And I'd only learned about it probably 2 hours before that. So
yeah,
the blind
fun.
leading the blind.
Yeah.
Definitely the toy booths will give you something like that to keep that has
Right.
like all their stuff, so it's makes sense that you confused it.
Yeah.
That's funny though.
Yeah, you guys are recognizing people left and right. Anyone you want to mention?
Yeah, you could go first. Hunter.
Sure,
I got
so-
a whole list.
I follow a lot of artists on Instagram, a couple pretty big ones, and a couple artists who are like working in the industry, but their maybe social media presence isn't that big. So walking around, I ran into 2 that I've followed for a couple of years now. Well, one for a couple of years now. One was Cutter Hayes. He kind of does a lot of like figure drawing, and he does a lot of really cool ink illustrations, kind of like sci-fi looking.
Is he the Mobius-esque guy?
Yeah, the guy we went and talked
Yeah.
for a couple hours. He was doing the live drawing like in his booth.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. So I recognized him, was like, yo, I follow your Instagram. And I think he was surprised because he only has like 1,000 followers on Instagram. But
Oh, and you're
he's
one
like
of
a
'em.
private yeah, and I'm one of them. So he's like a private teacher. He'll go and like meet with people and mentor them and stuff like that. So it was super cool to meet him. And through him I met another artist named Ron Lemming, who I went to his panel as well, but was like one of his professors for a long time, or kind of his art mentor. And so I got to have some really cool conversations with both of those guys. And then the personal favorite person I ran into, his name is JP Mavinga, another artist who I follow, who he's like a concept artist and works in the game industry and things like that. But you wouldn't really know his social media presence because it's smaller. But I was just walking, and I saw his name on the booth and was like, oh my goodness, this is like one of my favorites from Instagram, which is funny because usually I had to scroll all the way down to like 2015 to see all the stuff or whatever. But it was exciting to run into him. We talked for like 20 minutes. Super, super friendly guy. And then I bought his book. So I was super excited to meet all those guys. Later too, one of my favorites, who I followed for a long time, is named Peter Hahn. And he's kind of taken off a lot recently in popularity. So every time we went to his booth, it was packed. It was always super busy.
Yeah.
And the
really
one
cool.
time we went to go talk to him,
Oh, yeah.
and we got there, and Stan Sakai, who's a famous illustrator, was at his booth looking at his stuff. And I was like, of course, Stan Sakai would be here. Just super. It was super cool to see them together. They're 2 of my inspirations. So just to see them talking, and he was flipping through his sketchbooks and stuff, it was super, super cool.
You should tell people who Stan Sakai is if they don't know who he is real quick.
So I'm only know him from Usagi Yojimbo,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is like an older samurai story comic book. He also featured the Ninja Turtles in his comic towards the beginning of its run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like a rabbit samurai. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, I was singing him.
Mm-hmm. So I have a few of his books, and I've read them, and it's always fun to like. He's an older gentleman. You just come up and say thanks and have him sign your book and move on. But yeah, also just kind of that on that note of going and meeting people, it was really interesting to see their artwork in person. Because for me, most of my interaction with them is on Instagram, so I just see the little square on my phone or whatever. But to flip through their sketchbooks and see all these beautiful ink drawings or watercolors or whatever they have was just like probably made the experience that much cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty inspiring. So
yeah, well, and Carter and I, we went to this booth that had like the actual art and stuff that they'd use for covers or inside pages for comic books, and it's really cool seeing the intricate details and the little stickers that they put on and for like the logos or even the whiteout to kind of fix some of the mistakes. It was really cool seeing all of that.
And they were big too. Like they were massive.
They were huge, yeah.
Compared to your comic book, I guess they shrink them down somehow, but those are interesting to look at.
Yeah, and some of them are hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it was still
Right.
really cool just to see the
That
actual
was
art for some of
surprise
these
for me.
things.
To see comic books selling for, well, I don't know if they actually sold, but seeing comic books
Right.
with
On
tags
sale.
on them over $100,000 just blew my mind.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's like, do you want to buy a car? Or do you want to buy an original
Right.
piece of art?
Yeah. Do you want to put a down payment on a house, or do you want this little comic book? Like, oh my goodness. Some
Yeah.
big fans out there.
But yeah, it's just always cool seeing all of that in person. You don't really get that just looking up pictures of it, or even holding the printed book. You don't get that either.
Right.
So that was really cool. Yeah. Cool. Anyone else you want to mention, Hunter?
One gentleman we ran into, I don't know if his name's Malcolm Barrett. He's like, I don't know, but it's like a TV actor. He's been in a lot of shows,
yeah, that guy.
like Timeless, or I knew him from the Key and Peele sketch on they're like on the airplane. And they're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They sit down by the guy and they're like trying to see if he's ready to take on some terrorists or not. It's
Some
so funny.
Terry.
Some Terrys, when them Terrys getting rowdy. But
Yeah.
anyway, so the booth next door, they're artists who worked for DC for a while doing children's comics. So I don't know, they recognize everybody, they know everybody. So he walked by and they like yelled to him, and he came up and talked. So we got to talk and gift him some artwork and stuff. So it was cool to run into them.
Yeah. Shout out to Art and Franco for pointing him out to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, how about you, Carter? Anybody you recognized or talked with?
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. So I was big into Pokemon when I was younger, and
Oh yeah.
there were two things that happened. First, I saw the voice actor for Ash. She was at Comic-Con doing signings. I didn't have anything for her to sign, but it's kind of cool just to see that she was there. But then there was another time where I just looked at some Pokemon cards like on a table. I was like, I guess I'll check them out, because that's another thing that sells for way too much money, like Pokemon cards, old cards.
Yeah.
They're only 20 years old and they sell for thousands of dollars. Anyways, so yeah, I was just like looking at some cards, and this guy that was standing across from me behind the counter is like, "Do you like them?" That's me. And I was like, "What?" I looked up and he's like, "That's me." And turns out this guy was the person who sung the Pokemon theme song back in the 90s, Gotta Catch 'Em All. His name's Jason Page, and he actually gave me like his personal Pokemon card. Like, I would not have recognized him otherwise, but he's like, "It's me, see?" It's just like, it was funny. He had a lot of energy, that guy.
All right, Jason.
All right. Oh, we should have made him sing for us.
Oh, we should have. I was just so like took off guard by him. I didn't know what to say.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty funny too, because it was just like right out of we were just trying to get out of the aisle and then
Right.
just move around. And then, oh, okay. Just
Yeah,
right
and he was
there.
just like, "Hey, what's up?" Actually, if you'll give me a second, I'll go grab the card and I'll
Yeah.
show it. So
All right. Yeah. It just, that kind of thing happens all the time though at Comic-Con. You'll just happen upon someone like
Like the guy from Comic Book Man. just
the
chilling.
guy from Comic Book Man just chilling, and who else? Well, a couple of years ago when I was at WonderCon, I was just walking down the aisle, and all of a sudden I see Nichelle Nichols, Uhura from Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, now suddenly Uhura. like if it was a comic book panel, it would say something like that.
Yeah.
It was just pretty funny. We were just saying how it just happens all the time. You randomly
I was listening.
run into
yeah.
people. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. It's just funny how that works.
Like the time I body slammed Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. I forgot about
Here's,
that. The security guard.
My
pushing you.
personalized Jason Page card.
Oh, right on.
All right. Doesn't it have lyrics to the song on it too?
Yeah, the card says, "This card allows you to be the very best, like no one ever was."
Nice.
Oh,
This man.
pretty funny.
That's funny. I must say, there was one actor there. Maybe he's done more than I realized, but I was looking at his booth and it was like, as seen in The Mandalorian. And like I saw, he's like, it's like a picture, it's like a screen grab from Mandalorian. He's in the picture. And I was like, I feel like if I'm remembering correctly, I don't even think he speaks in the show. Or no, sorry, not in Mandalorian, in Andor. I was like, I don't think maybe he spoke. Maybe I'm remembering wrong. But it's just funny. Sometimes you see guys out there who like, I'm like, really trying to garner attention from like a very, very small appearance. But
Right. I was kind of
power
getting
to
those
you, man.
vibes from Jason Page, but like kudos to him. It's got to be
Yeah.
tough. And also, I loved his energy. Like he was just, it was fun. So,
That's good.
and he gave me a free card. Like, come on.
Oh, that's funny. Well, I met some people that was pretty fun too. You know, I mentioned Leonard Maltin and Jerry Beck. That was really cool. But I think some of my favorites were meeting Gary from Nerdrotic, one of my favorite YouTube channels ever. And he's just chilling at this booth with his friend Eric July, another one I really love. Really cool guys. You know, I love their thoughts on just movies and comic books in general. So it was really surreal. But I think the coolest part was I went to this panel for Chris Gore, another cool critic, and I was just sitting in the second row to the front. And then all of a sudden, Nerdrotic and his moderator, Quarter Black Garrett, they both just sit down right in front of me. And then just this whole panel, we were kind of all of us in that little front group were making jokes and stuff at the panelists. So that was a really fun experience.
Oh, that's cool.
Just making them
That's
all
awesome.
embarrassed up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But those were cool. And then I also met, his name is Gabe El Taib. He used to work at DC Comics, and then now he works with Eric July. He's the colorist for ISOM. I need to buy that comic at some point. But then he also gave me, Gabe did one of his comics called Truth, Justice, and the American Way, and he signed it and everything. So, yeah, it was just really cool people there that I follow on YouTube, and it's just surreal seeing some of them. It's like, whoa, like Eric July is this big buff dude. Like Nerdrotic is just giant. It was just crazy seeing all these guys. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it for me because you know a lot of the other ones I just pointed at, like the Phineas and Ferb guy. I wish I stopped him now, but it's just funny stuff that happens there.
Yeah.
Probably more than we can remember, honestly. It's just all
True.
over the place. Your dad did a few times too. Oh, it would be remiss if we didn't mention your dad. Just look out for the art, you know, Patrick Skolin comics, and we had these like cool shirts we were repping in this year. So Hunter made these for us.
Yeah.
Definitely check out his booth. It's always got like a lot of Star Wars characters, but that's probably one of his more popular prints right there.
Yeah. In fact, we could even talk about that a little bit too. So our dad, he's been going to Comic-Con for about 15 years now, and he's always selling his own books, his own art. So we always have the privilege of going with him to help run the booth. And this time around, it was like a whole family effort. So we all got to just run around and have fun the whole time, but then also made some sales too.
Yeah, sit at the booth for a couple hours. And we have the privilege of being at the very top of small press in Comic-Con.
A lot of traffic.
Yeah, tons of traffic go by to the bathrooms, of course. But
yeah,
yeah, it's been a great blessing, great experience to be there and meet lots of people in that spot.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff. So thanks, Dad.
Yep. Thanks, Uncle Patrick. You're awesome.
All right. Well, I think we can move on to the next section about the stuff that we all got. So now it's time for show and tell, like in elementary school. So who wants to go first?
We could like do one item each and then move on, I guess.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Well, how about then just like your coolest thing that you got there or something you really want to show to the audience? So much stuff.
I mostly got books this time around.
Can't really see here, but Hunter's got this huge mess.
Really?
Maybe.
Okay. Has he piled it?
I brought some
Classic
freebies as a
Hunter
joke, but the cool stuff, cool books. Comics.
Oh man, I threw away my freebies.
No,
I got
like
one.
them.
This is so funny. We got like one that the cover had some women with very revealing clothes, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? Flipped it open, looked in there, and it was just like an average comic about like high school drama, and there's like a ghost, and there was nothing remotely related to how like salacious the cover was. I thought that was kind of funny. So,
Rats. I mean, oh, thank goodness.
Oh yeah.
yeah, no,
Well,
exactly. Harrison's like, "You're gonna throw that away?" I was like, "1 second, I'm just gonna see what's in here." And there was nothing.
That's like we got that little Marvel statue that said
Oh yeah.
17 plus, and Carter's like, I wonder what's in it if it's 17 plus, and we open it up and it's just Captain America.
yeah.
Right.
I don't
That was
know
funny.
why.
Somebody just left like those little mystery boxes at the booth, and we kept it there for like 2 days straight, wondering if someone would come back, and finders keepers by the end.
Yeah, it came with a couple padlocks and a mug and
Stuff.
just
Yeah.
random.
17 plus
knickknacks.
statue, which was nothing crazy. It was just Captain America.
Yeah.
Just living life.
Yeah.
But okay, I'll be fast. Got a book.
What's the book?
It's called Son of the Empire. It's the start of a new series that Maxwell and his team are writing.
Oh, is this the one that's gonna be a big universe?
Yeah, so it's
Oh,
like an
okay.
8-character book. So they're writing 8 novellas that will come out before the actual book. That will allow you to meet the characters like one at a time before they come together as a group. Then from Art and Franco, our neighbors, well, Franco specifically, and I got his new Dead Man book, published with DC. Has a ton of artists in it. And I was trying to buy a book from Art as well, but he sold out. He only brought 3 copies of it. So I
want to get his
wow.
Abraham Lincoln one.
yeah.
It's like Abraham Lincoln that looks like a hot dog. I want that one so bad.
That one was cool, the one I want to buy, because it's a mixture of his personal life and his love for comics, his childhood and adult life and stuff. So I also was on the lookout for Walter Simonson's run of Thor, because he's just an incredible artist. So just wanted to learn from his line work and his compositions and stuff. And also, I hear it's a good read, so I was excited about that too.
Yeah, it's probably one of the better booths there. You always find these discounted prices and stuff, so you never know the kind of gems you'll find there. I always love hunting. That's kind of my favorite part of it.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, Harrison took me around everywhere to show off, so I
to
had
the
no
good
idea.
comic booths.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
good
that is
stuff.
that thing. That is a trade, right? That what he
Yeah.
was holding.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I learned this new comic book lingo. Apparently,
I
so
didn't know that either.
they've
so.
got like the monthly serial editions or bi-monthly, whatever they do, and I guess every few years they'll just take a bunch of them and put them in a collection, and that's called a trade. So I was looking for a trade for a Blade Runner comic. Unfortunately, it sold out Wednesday, which was the first day that they were there. Why didn't they bring more? But yeah, what Hunter just showed was a trade, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, last 2 books. JP Mavinga, he
Oh,
drew on the
bring that
cover
closer.
there. Yeah,
Oh, cool.
he drew that while we were talking, and then
Just for you, then, huh? Custom
Yeah.
covers.
custom
That's
covers,
awesome.
and it's just full of his illustrations, and he just has this incredible knack for like mechanical things, robotic things. So that's actually what he like. For example, Sideshow Collectibles, he worked with them for a little while, mostly designed like the armatures around the characters and kind of like the setting the scene type stuff. Then to Peter Hahn, I bought the black and white edition of his original
yeah,
graphic
show
novel
him that.
Blacksmith. He also drew in the cover.
That's
just
awesome.
a really prolific artist.
Yeah, the lines on those are so incredible.
Yeah, he and another couple artists, I think they met through Instagram, but all got together and created Superani. Another famous one is Kim Jong-gi, who passed away, I think this year, but they're all just really exceptional artists. So it was super
That one's
cool
really
meeting
cool.
these
Are you going to bring that one with you to Provo?
I will, so you can check it out when I'm back
Yeah.
at school. But
Blacksmith,
really-
you called it?
yeah, Blacksmith.
That looks
I
awesome.
I tried to buy it from him a couple years ago, but he had limited copies, and I did not have a ton of money, so I didn't buy it that time.
Fair enough.
Oh, right. Last thing. We helped our father's old
He's like art professor.
art professor from Cal State Fullerton break down his booth, and he gifted us posters. So I got this massive Captain America officially licensed Marvel poster with its own certificate of authenticity as well. But
Oh, cool.
It's beautiful. I love it. Cap on his motorcycle, riding off into the trees. Sweet. That's Cliff Crap there.
Yeah, shout out to Cliff.
Shout out to Cliff. Very generous, kind man. So, anyways, that's all mine. That's
Awesome.
my show and tell.
All right, your turn, Carter.
All right. First, I just want to show off my poster the way that they were doing, and I got it signed by all the voice actors, so that's kind of cool too.
Oh, wow.
But the way that they were doing it is they had us wait in a line because it was limited signing, and they had these 3 like boxes, and you would walk up to one of the 3 boxes, press the button, and would either turn red or green. If it was red, it meant you don't get to get your stuff signed or get the poster because they were handing that out. And if you got green, you could get in the line to then wait to get their stuff signed. So there were 2 lines. A line to get to the button boxes and a line to actually get things signed because they could only let so many in.
That's crazy.
So I waited to the button boxes, got it red the first time, waited another 20 minutes, got it green.
Oh, you got back in line?
Yeah, I did. There were a lot of people doing it. So I was like, whatever, I'll try one more time. So that was the deal I was making with myself. I'll try one more time, no more than that, because someone had been there like 3 or 4 times already. So that was super cool to get. I really like Demon Slayer. I've kind of gotten into it the last few years. And so that was cool. And got this comic book satirical, completely different vein from the Demon Slayer poster. But just these guys that are just making fun of. And they had one for Biden too. So, you know, everyone gets attacked. But just funny stuff. Just, I don't know, like here's Trump, Super Trump, ripping some heads off some guys.
Yeah.
He gets like superpowers, him and Jared Kushner and Bannon, and Mike Pence, they get crappy powers like
Also
making
a tree.
trees explode and talking
Yeah.
to birds, and he gets every superpower because he's the best. And I kind of read it to myself in Trump's voice, and you know how they've got like the AI president videos now?
Oh, I love those so much.
There needs to be like an audio version of this comic where, you know, like they have YouTube videos of comics.
Yeah.
They need that, but with the AI Trump voice. Oh my gosh, I would die. But
Oh, yeah.
I didn't buy this one, but they had a Biden one too. And it wasn't even like satirical. It was just a comic version of Biden falling down the stairs.
Oh,
I saw that.
And
Yeah.
I was dying. It's so funny.
Oh,
Something about seeing that as a comic just cracked me up. And I think, Harrison, you got this one too, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. I actually read the first issue right before we hopped on it. It's pretty funny.
Right. Oh yeah. So that was great. And then we got some buttons. That was kind of cool. Got No Touchy, Nerd of the Rings. This is just the Comic-Con one that comes with coming. A little Grogu from your dad's booth. Majora's Mask. Another Majora's Mask and Breath of the Wild, Zelda. But probably I didn't have a lot of space, so I didn't get too much, but probably the thing that's coolest, I picked up this art book, or graphic novel, I guess. I had never seen it before, just for some reason I was drawn to it, I picked it up, and it's kind of like a psychedelic existential mix. But the thing that's coolest is just how bright it is, just crazy colors.
Oh, yeah. That was the monochromatic one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of trippy stuff. And I've been reading probably 10 minutes from it the last few nights. This is the 3rd one in the series. They had run out of the first one. But it's mostly visual storytelling, so it's not a big deal to jump right in. But I think it's really cool. I just love this kind of the really stark art style and the colors especially. So called Star Seeds by Charles Glaubitz. I'm trying to pick up the first and second one, but they're all sold out. So I got the 3rd one for now. And apparently this just barely dropped. I stopped by Barnes and Noble yesterday and they didn't even have this yet, not till August. So
Oh,
right
wow.
on.
I didn't
got a
realize
preview.
it was early access when I got it. I just was really drawn to it. But
That's awesome.
yeah.
All right. Well, I got some things here too. So we'll start off with this one again. It's a hilarious Trump Titans book. Probably one
Good
of the funny,
satire. Good satire.
very good. Oh yeah. And then I got Gabe El-Taib's book called Truth, Justice, and the American Way. It's about some superheroes. I haven't read it yet, but he's trying to make a series that's kind of like in the 70s and 80s when before it was like excessive violence and all of that. So it's kind of the way he described it was kids could enjoy it without having to worry about anything, but parents can also enjoy it because it's still entertaining and cool and action. So I got that. I'll do that one last. And then I got volume 3 of Essential Fantastic Four. So I've had 1 and 2 for about 15 years now. And so now I can actually continue on. So right now,
Really?
there's 63 issues of Fantastic Four.
Where did you pick up the first two?
My dad actually got them for me at, I think it was 2008 Comic-Con. I just remember as a little kid, I got them for my birthday. So, yeah.
That's
fact,
kind
I
of fun to pick up where you left off at.
15 years later.
Yeah.
It's all the newspaper print, kind of black and white, Jack Kirby art.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm excited to continue with that. And then I've been reading a lot of the early 2000s stories from DC and Marvel. So this is Infinite Crisis. I want to get into the Crisis series. And this is a good one to start with. And then eventually I'll get to the 80s ones. But what's cool about this is, it's a bunch of planets coming together. Well, they also have a bunch of art styles and artists coming together as well to show the different planets. So I thought that was really interesting, seeing the different art styles mesh together.
So this is the 2000s one you said?
Yeah, I think it's 2004 or 5.
So
2005, yeah.
I'm not super familiar with the way they do it. Do they just repeat the same storylines from the 80s? Is that how it usually goes? Or
I think it's a continuation, like a sequel. I could be
Okay.
mistaken. Like I said, I'm just getting into it, but
right.
I've been wanting this for a long time. So I was glad to find it at that same discount booth. We got Hunter's thing.
Yeah, I wonder. We have the other Crisis right there.
Yeah, that's the 80s one right
Okay.
there. Yeah. We're at my dad's house, so
Got all his comics.
all his stuff right there. And then lastly, so I've been waiting for this for a couple years. It's Attack of the Doc. This is the Chris Gore documentary about his experience and just G4 in general, because he worked there as a kind of a DVD review guy. They call it DVD Tuesday. And basically it's just looking back at G4 and Attack of the Show and just the history of our pop culture before Iron Man took off and kind of changed everything. So it's really, really cool. I've been waiting for it for a couple of years because he's been talking about it, and then he made it. And last Comic-Con, I missed it, but he did a premiere, almost like a panel type of premiere so that people could kind of give notes on it. But this is the final cut of it. So I'm really excited to check it out. And yeah, it's got over 25 hours of special features. So I'm excited to check it out and actually watch it. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome.
All right. Well, anything else before we move on to the last portion of our discussion today? No? All right. Well, our overall experience, just in general, what are your guys' thoughts and impressions on Comic-Con 2023?
I can go first. And I kind of said at the beginning, so I'll be brief, but I think this was probably my favorite Comic-Con I've ever attended. I think maybe I'm a little older now, so there was more of an interest there. Plus, there were specific artists I wanted to meet. Plus, I'm trying to do art on my own, so kind of looking at these inspirations, meeting them, talking to them, I had more to bring up and relate with them. So in that sense, we started to have really good conversations and whatever. So whatever, it turned into like a really exciting, I don't know. Yeah, probably just the best one I've been to. So
Nice.
overall, super positive experience.
Nice.
Great.
All right. How about you, Carter?
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I'd only been one other time. I was a little hesitant ahead of time just because I knew I wasn't super big into superheroes anymore. But I was able to find a lot of things that I really liked there. And I was amazed at how crowded it was, especially with all the panels being closed. And I swear I don't have ADHD, but walking around those rooms with all the posters and all the costumes and people walking around, it's just like so like sensory overload. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
The kinds of things you see at Comic-Con. But yeah, I had a great experience. I loved working at your dad's booth and kind of getting his perspective on things over the years, and just seeing all these people coming out for the things that they love.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I think for me too, it's probably one of my favorites because not only, just walking around and being able to talk with people, because for, before my mission, I did not like talking with random strangers, but
Right.
now I love doing that. So that was fun, but also because it was my wife's first time going. So it was really cool seeing her experience it for the first time. She's been to smaller ones, but this was her first time going to San Diego, and just seeing how much fun she had and how much fun we all had together. I loved it. It was a really, really fun experience. And yeah, just thankful for my dad for helping us get in. It was great. Yeah. Yeah. So next year, we're going to go next year.
I wanna go next
Hopefully.
year.
I'd like
Yeah.
to make it happen. Hard to say where I'll be. I'll be hopefully getting into grad schools by then, so we'll see.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping to get a press badge for Really Old Movies next year. So that'd be exciting.
Oh, cool. Will that allow you like different types of access then?
Well, kind of. It's not as exciting as you would think it would be. It's more of like, oh, you have different like freebies you can get, and if there's a panel like at Hall H, you could get in a couple minutes earlier before everybody else. But that's really it. But I'm excited to try it out because then I could be on panels potentially with it, and it's a lot of cool stuff can be with it. I'm still looking into it. They haven't opened up the application process yet, so hopefully next year it could be there as a press.
Right.
Yeah, that would be super cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it then. And again, thanks for coming on, Hunter and Carter. And I guess I
course.
did that backwards, but who cares? No, I love doing this. I'm very excited for the next Comic-Con and all of that. And yeah, thanks again for coming on, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was a blast.
All right. And thanks for everyone for watching today. And you can find me at Really Old Movies on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, pretty much anywhere at Really Old Movies. And then where can they find you, Hunter?
Again, on Letterboxd, I Miss a Good Movie, and on Instagram, Hunt's Art OK.
All right. And then you, Carter?
I'm just on Letterboxd, cartography.
Right on.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everyone again. This has been Really Old Movies. I'm your host, Harrison Scullen. Take care.